I'm actually going to fill this up with some water.
Do it. I always start with YouTube and nobody watches on YouTube. Because we don't even share it half the time. It gets like 3 views. But I just throw it out. Different outlets. Fuck it. World Gray Podcast. What'd you say? Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah. Oh, I have a funny story for you when we catch up on here. World Gray Podcast. We'll be back shortly. Just skip ahead if you're watching the YouTube clip. Just skip like probably 3-4 minutes, and then we'll probably be good. That's usually how this works.
I'm on the other
yes,
side now.
we can definitely swear. What?
I'm on the other side now.
Oh yeah, I know. It's just YouTube. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Oh, that's confusing.
Mindfuck, right?
Yeah. Okay. Am I close enough to the microphone?
Yeah, you're good. Come up on the mic. You ever watch 10-minute podcast?
I've seen it once. Like,
there's a bunch of really good ones, but Brian Callen's supposed to be the idiot, and everyone's like, "Hey, good story. Could you do us a favor? Come up on the fucking mic." So he's like slowly fades back.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah,
Clear?
I can hear you real good. I can also manipulate this. This is the official Dozens and Dozens, and we're live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the World of Gray podcast. In a society divided by black and white arguments, we are here to explore the world of gray. I'm the Cougar Meat Kid, Colin Cutler.
I'm Sergio.
That's
it.
He doesn't have a name yet. So Mike Chisholm is away. When Mike Chisholm is away, we shall play. This is a Red Seal certified chef, Sergio Tiznato. He's also my best friend, so we're a little biased here. He is the former head chef of Hector Casa. What is your title at BNA?
I don't really know. Transitioning.
Yeah, you just got a promotion. Sergio works at BNA, which is ridiculously popular. If you're not from Kelowna, I've been there twice and didn't even get a table. So I actually haven't even eaten there yet.
Oh man, you're missing out.
Hardy.
It's great.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Hardy. He's actually the 3rd host here. He's like, I'm late. You're late for work, Hardy boy. Pete has joined us. What up, Pete? Where were you this weekend? So Mike Chisholm's not here. He had some things to do. Me and Sergio are having a little bromance date today. We don't see each other as much as we would like to. So Chisholm was going to come later, and I was like, we're doing this thing. So podcasting with Sergio today. We're going to talk about the service industry today. This is one of these things where I really do want a lot of chat with this. So I want a lot of opinions. So I'm going to have to repeat the topic as we go here. A lot of times I just don't worry about it, and we just go to I have people watch it later, but I do really want people's opinions. So as we kind of get a few more people on here, if you have any stories about the service industry, lay them at me, because I know a lot of people that work in the service industry that have crazy stories. But yeah, how you been, man? You got a lot going on. So you got the promotion at BNA?
Yeah, well, it's not a promotion. Like it's I went from just being regular wage to being day wage. So I'm now
daily salary. Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's called day wage. It's just guaranteed hours. So it's kind of a promotion in that I have more responsibilities.
Right.
I don't have an official title.
Already get over here.
When I first started the job, I explained to them that I couldn't take too much commitment because my wife is pregnant. She's 8 months along, and so we're looking forward to that pretty soon.
So I don't know if you know this, but I've actually talked about this on the podcast.
I've heard you talk about it a few times.
So I'm super pumped. Pete says I was doing adult stuff, like legal adult stuff.
Most of it isn't.
Most of it isn't. What does that mean, adult stuff? Are you watching pornography or something? You dirty man. Do you know that when are you still? You know when the internet was first around, I don't know if this is 100% right, but it was like 90% of all bits transferred were porn.
I believe
it. That's what I've heard when it first started.
Now it's 95 or what?
Yeah, now it's way worse. There's so much out there. Sometimes I just go to do other things, and all of a sudden I'm on porn. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
How did I get here?
How did I get here? Our 3rd host has joined us. He's good. He works 1 day a week for like an hour, and he doesn't like his job. Yeah, I've talked about your son that's going to be coming into the world soon a lot. I'm so pumped. So I don't know if Jen's going to appreciate me talking about this, but I absolutely love kids. I got a ton of nieces and nephews. We've decided not to have kids, but not me and Sergio.
We decided that a long time ago.
We hummed and hawed. We went back and forth. Me and Jen have decided not to have kids. We have our dogs, but I'm so pumped for all my friends to have kids. Our other best friend, Jordan Gallipo, is like the third pillar of our tripod since grade 8.
Grade 8 for you guys. Grade 9, I joined in.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you and Jordan knew each other in like elementary school.
A little bit,
Not
that close or anything.
But yeah, we've pretty much been inseparable ever since.
Other dumb stories.
Yeah, a lot of dumb stories. We could, if we think of a couple, we could definitely throw them out there. But yeah,
Jordan to talk about.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's my podcast. Fuck it. But yeah, Jordan had his son Zayden, he's actually kind of growing into his chub.
Yeah. He less roly-poly.
He was quite the Jabba.
Baby Jabba.
Yeah, baby Jabba. He was the cutest like Jabba kid though. Really funny. And he gets in, from what I've heard, we don't see him a lot because he lives in Hinton, but what I've heard, he gets into everything. I was like, Jordan's karma.
Yeah,
It's such karma. Have you thought of names yet?
Yeah, baby boy is kind of where we're at right now. We've got a few ideas, but we don't really like putting them out there because the last few ideas that we've had, whenever we said them to somebody, they would usually return with, "Oh, I know a person with that name.
Right.
He's a convicted rapist." Yeah. Suddenly the name doesn't sound very good anymore, and that's off the list.
So Pete's been in the service industry for 20 years. Give us a story, Pete, and we'll discuss it. Yeah, I mean, that's a tough thing when you're trying to think of names. Everyone knows someone that was a dick. There's a Seinfeld episode where Elaine wants her boyfriend to change his name because his name's a serial killer's name. It's the same name. And they're going through them, and she just doesn't like one of the names he picks because she had a guy she sat next to in college that would sip his coffee too loud. Like, it's so good. But they're vetoing names, just like the Friends episode. And then, is it me or is veto starting to sound good?
It's the truth, though. You don't think about it until you're actually in the naming process. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, well, you had an ex-boyfriend with that name. Okay, well,
that's
I knew
not
a guy
happening.
with that name who was just an ass.
Yeah. Why did you
like
suggest that? Yeah, exactly. It's me and Jen I was talking to me and Jen were going back and forth, but I started the conversation saying it's so weird that you're having a kid because Sergio, when we were younger, you were probably the last person we would expect to have a kid. Just when you're young, right? Things obviously change. And I said it out loud, and then there was this weird, like, kind of silence. And then I said, actually, you know what? I was like, it's weird Sergio's about to have a son. And I said, you know what? Though it's not. Because your wife has Annie, and you've been her dad since you guys have pretty much been together. And seeing you with Annie, who I absolutely adore, by the way. I love Annie. Yeah, it's not that weird anymore. Like, it was weird. Like, if we look at back then, right? Or like even a couple years ago or like 5 years ago, maybe it'd be weird, but it's just not. You're just, I don't know if you realize it because you're in the shit all the time because you're like, having to deal with, because how old's Annie now?
She's turning 5 in
5.
August.
Yeah, okay. I didn't want to like say it'd be way off. She's 4. Actually, that's not way off 1 year. How dare
One whole
you?
year.
I was gonna say 2, but then like if I can't tell the difference between 5 and 2, that's a problem. And yeah, maybe you don't realize it because you're in it, but as a third party viewer, like, you're so good. Like, you definitely have parental instincts. So you've already done it, right? And that's what I'm saying. It's actually not that weird, but it's so cool that you're having a boy. Like, now you have one of each.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's enough. No, I'm just kidding. You do everyone.
No, that's enough. Plenty. That's lots. But
that was a friend's quote.
Yeah.
How you feeling though? Like, you're gonna have a brand new baby infant boy coming into the world. How do you feel?
I'm excited. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
The whole birthing experience sounds pretty awful. It sounds scary, but I'm reading this.
You don't have to do it, right?
I know, and I'm more scared than she is. I'm reading a birthing partner book right now, and it's just, holy crap, it's the scariest book I've ever read in my entire life.
If you're a parent, give Sergio some shout outs or maybe some advice because he's going in blind for this first little part here.
Luckily, my wife is here to hold my hand.
Yeah, she's done it before. She calm the shit down, man. Have you done like Lamaze classes and stuff?
No, we talked about doing a class, but Alex did all the classes on her first round. And,
right. She's got it.
I've got my book, I guess.
She took notes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what the doctors are there for too, right? Yeah. So we've got the contraction timers and stuff like that all set up.
We did that when my sister was pregnant. We counted her contractions with with Salem, her first, and she had gone into labor and then came over. And so like with my mom, because it was her first. So my mom's like, oh yeah, they're really far apart. But we would time them every single time she had a contraction. But we were watching Catwoman. Have I told you this story? We're watching Catwoman and she would pause. And then I would time it and then I'd write it down. And then, but the one she did was like right when Catwoman was becoming Catwoman, and they do this zoom in on the eyes, and it's like a big lead up, and she goes, pause. I'm like, God damn it, Diana. And then she goes, don't make me laugh. She's like having a contraction, and I'm like, it's too funny.
Nothing ruins a movie like Labor.
Right? Too funny. But that's amazing, man. And you moved.
We're moving.
You're moving. So I don't know why I said that. I'm like in my head, I'm like, you're moving. You bought a new house. I said you moved, but yeah. So you're going to be closer to me. I don't know if that's good for you or bad.
No, it's good. It's good. It's always good. But we're moving on the 28th, and then the baby's due on the 17th. So probably you're going to have the baby on the 29th.
Just remember to bring the baby with you. And I think we got everything. I think we have everything. Oh shit. No, I'm super pumped. And if you need a babysitter, I'm there, man. I'm good with kids.
And it's on here, so you
so
can hold them to it.
I will babysit. Don't let Jen babysit. I was, when I thought I could be funny and make bits, I was trying to form this bit where, so when me and my girlfriend first started dating, she told me she didn't want to have kids, and I was pretty bummed. Then I saw her with kids. Probably better for humanity that she doesn't have kids. She's just kind of awkward with kids. But no, I'm super pumped. The house is beautiful. It's absolutely ginormous. So it's good.
We got super
lucky.
You
need it, though. You need the space. You got some plans, and that's great. And yeah, I'm super pumped. There's a hot tub, which was my big request when you were looking for houses.
That was number one on my list, too. And I was told we probably weren't going to get it. So somehow that all worked out pretty good.
But yeah, it's cool. I'm super pumped. So yeah, a lot of things coming down the pipe. Oh, I have a question for you. We've had this debate at work. Is it coming down the pipe or coming down the pike?
I'd say coming down the pipe, because shit goes down the pipe.
Shit definitely does go down.
Going on right now.
So, and then at work, I mean, you're on this daily salary thing now, or daily wage, you said. But B&E is building a new restaurant, correct?
Yeah. I can't say too much about it. It's called Skinny Duke's Glorious Emporium. The idea behind it is that it's kind of a retro themed restaurant. It's going where the Sturgeon Hall used to be on Pandosy, I believe. Very cool. And they're putting a lot of energy and love into it, and it's going to be really exciting.
I love it. This is what happens when I do absolutely no notice with these podcasts. Nobody's watching, but that's good. Actually, no, you know what? This is why. Fucking every time. So the problem is we only have so many people following World of Grey, and then I have to waste time while I'm live doing this. But if I share it, hopefully more people will come. I got to share it to my actual.
Well, here, I'll share it too.
Yeah, you share it. This is what me and Chisholm do every time. We forget until we're like halfway in, and then we just waste time. Come on.
My sister's asking me questions about how to fix her caramelized onion dip.
How to fix it?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Said it's lacking flavor.
All right, we got 2 people watching now. The other thing we can do is start a watch party. Chisholm started doing that. It's actually very helpful. Sorry, we were just sharing things. So we're talking about the service industry.
If you're watching this, add acid.
Good transition. We lost somebody because we were fucking around. We had to. That's all right. So if you are joining us, or if you're not still Pete, we're talking about the service industry today. So if you have any service industry stories, that would be cool. If you told us them, we can discuss. I've been in the service industry since I was 15, so when I started at Hector's Casa, which was your parents' restaurant until they sold last year.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Jesus H.
How do I share this?
Go, just click on it. Me. 2 years ago. Sure. There's a slight delay. So yeah, if you're just joining us now, I have Sergio Tiznato here. He is my best friend, so I'm a little bit biased. That's why I brought him on. But he is also a Red Seal certified chef. He was the head chef of Hector's Casa for years, and he is now a chef at B&A Restaurant. We're talking about a new restaurant replacing what used to be the Sturgeon Hall called.
It's called Skinny Duke's Glorious Emporium.
Right. So if you've been in the service industry, please let us know your stories. Oh, that second person was you. Cool. That's hilarious. I think the other second person was probably me, but that's fine. Yeah, we really like stories. If you're still Pete, thanks for hanging out.
Thanks, Pete.
But this would be cool for people to watch after because you have a lot of experience in the service industry. I know, like, I mean, obviously I do too, but I started in the restaurant business at Hector's Casa. So your dad is Hector, does not know, who him and your mom Lori, they started Hector's Casa like 15 years ago.
September 1999.
Jeez Louise.
20 years
that
ago.
That is 20 years ago. Hector's Casa it was definitely, while you were there, I don't know what it's like now. I haven't been there, and we're definitely obviously not going to bury it because we still go there. The menu is probably still mostly what Sergio made, but that place has been a staple of Mexican food in Kelowna since 1999. Probably the most authentic Mexican you're going to get. And over the years, a lot of Mexican restaurants have come and gone, and Hector's Casa has held strong. Didn't mean for that to rhyme. But so how old were you when you started at your parents' restaurant?
Well, I was 11 when they first opened the restaurant, and I helped out a little bit. I wasn't doing, anything really full time, but
because of the law.
Well, not really the law, just my reach mostly. I could barely reach the spray hose in the dishwasher.
It was a physicality thing.
But I think it took about 2 or 3 years before I really jumped in and started taking on full dishwashing shifts.
Yeah.
And then from there, another year or two before I was on the line and cooking ever since.
So you were 11 years old. Because I remember, I don't know if you told me the story of your parents, but you at Hector's Casa, which your parents owned. I'm just going to keep recapping as more people come in. So we're talking about Hector's Casa, which Sergio's parents used to own. They sold 2 years ago. And which, again, staple in Kelowna for Mexican food. You were 11 years old. What I used to like, because in the kitchen at Hector's, there's a bit of like a
veranda.
Veranda. It's a little like a bunch of floor, like a ceiling type thing or whatever. You could go up into it and you could kind of hang out up there. But I heard you used to just like play Game Boy and then come down and like do some dishes and make churros and shit.
Yeah, before it got super busy, we didn't need a full-time dishwasher.
Yeah.
So I would go up there with a Game Boy and play Pokemon was my game of choice back then. And, go up, play Game Boy, and then dishes would pile up, and I'd come down, do some dishes, and, help them make a salad or something, and then I just climb back. There wasn't even a ladder or stairs or anything. I was climbing a shelf. But I was like probably about 50 pounds soaking wet back then, so I could do it.
Well, and I think that's the thing people don't realize when it comes to restaurant owners, entrepreneurs starting a new business that have young kids, because I mean, first of all, I'm sure a lot of their money went in, and we don't have to talk about finances at that time, but I'm sure a lot of the money went into starting the restaurant. So daycare is probably not necessarily the best option. Both of your parents had to be at the restaurant. Your mom didn't necessarily start there though, did she? She
did. Yeah.
More accounting?
No. When the restaurant first started, my mom was a server.
Right.
And when they first opened the restaurant, it was a scramble because they had to take loans from about, I believe it was 3 or 4 different banks simultaneously in the same day. This is before the internet was so quick.
Right.
So they actually were able to get multiple loans on one line of credit.
Right.
Without the banks being able to notice they'd had those loans. And so they got enough money pooled together to buy the restaurant.
Right.
And thank God it was busy, because otherwise they would have had 4 banks chasing them for this money.
Yeah, I mean, and that could be a whole nother podcast, but that's the risk when it comes to business. And I mean, most businesses aren't as fortunate or maybe even hardworking, I guess you could say too, because your parents are 2 of the hardest working people I've ever met in my life. They're definitely inspirations. Your mom was a mentor of mine, and your dad is just an inspiration to see work as much as he worked. Trying to get your dad to take a half a day off a week was like pulling teeth. That dude was there morning till night. But I just think people maybe don't understand not only the work that your parents or any restaurant owner has to put in, but how you and your sister just had to always be there, because I'm sure daycare wasn't. I mean, like, what was that like as a child? You weren't going out to the park and playing with kids, but you were at the restaurant most of the time. Like, what were your emotions at that age? Were you upset about that, or was it just the way of life?
Well, when we first bought the restaurant, I thought it was so cool until, a couple months in, and I realized, okay, well, there goes my weekends.
Right.
And every Friday, Saturday night, we were at the restaurant with our parents, and that went on for all of school. Like we're only started working more and more and more.
Yeah.
And all these kids
Adding your friends.
Yeah, well, all these kids are going off and doing fun stuff on the weekend, and it's like, oh no, I can't. I gotta go to work.
Yeah.
I'm 13. And,
yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, 13, and you got to tell people that. But I think, I mean, I don't know if you want to say it's a good thing or a bad thing, but your work ethic probably comes from that because you're still like that. The funny thing, so Sergio, 11 years old, he starts working at the restaurant, works his way up. Me and Jordan start around 14, 15. You and Jordan start cooking about a year-ish before I did. Then I start cooking. Then you go to school. Hector's gets ovens. Are we allowed to talk about this?
Yeah. We can talk about whatever.
Hector's didn't have ovens, and
we had ovens.
They
didn't
were
use old them. And they were not very good.
But I remember then you go to school and go, we need to get ovens. And so we do this, and there was a little hesitation, like, oh, it's like if we do everything and we have it slowly cooking in the ovens, is everything going to take longer? And it was way faster. Like when you get the rhythm, because you can put things in preemptively, and then you just time things, right? Because I remember about 4 years after we got ovens, because I was there for 11 years, right? So 4 years after we get ovens, I don't know if you remember this, but I was doing the Friends bit, and I said, hey, man, remember when we didn't have ovens? What were we thinking?
Yeah.
Like, because once you have it and it's rolling and it's like so much nicer, you get cheese is, what's the name when you broil cheese in it?
Brulee or
no. There's another name for cheese.
Gratin.
Oh, gratin. Yeah. And you get that nice like browning on the cheese. So it just makes such a difference. But I just always thought that was funny. But from my point of view, when you went to school, your mom, amazing chef, but she taught herself, right? And a lot of the recipes we got from Mexico and all over the place. But when you went to school, just bringing that technical ability, I feel brought Hector's up just to another level. And I just want to preface, like, your mom was amazing, and I absolutely love your mom because, like, I owe your mom a lot. But I just feel like when you went to school, just bringing that little bit of technicality went a long way. Yeah,
I mean, I also I started a new job at the same time, working at Jack's Grill, which is no longer around. So I got to see what other restaurants were like because my only knowledge of restaurants was at the at Hector's, and so. I said, like, hey, there's better ways we can be doing this.
Yeah.
We can get better food, more flavor and stuff. And thankfully, my parents, they supported me and they believed in me, and that they were willing to spend, I think it was about $12,000 or $13,000 at the end of the day that went into buying that whole new range, protection, everything like that. So it's a bit of a leap of faith on their end, but it paid off.
Totally. Yeah. And you were just pretty much ever since that moment, it was just pedal to the metal, because you were just, and the funny thing is, you worked at the restaurant and you did you worked with Mexican food, I mean, for years, but you really loved French food. I know that from like when you first came out, which was funny, but you did such cool things with the menu, and like just having like fresh steak, just all these little things, right, that made such a big difference. And I know leaving Hector's, because the cooks would get meals, so we would eat it all the time. But then leaving, I would just get such cravings for some of that stuff you were making. But yeah, and I know it's easy to not realize it when you're the one that's doing it. But you're such a talented chef, and I don't know if you get enough credit externally because you're just in the shit all the time. But I always brag about you because you're definitely one of the most talented chefs. You are the most talented chef I know, because I don't know a lot of chefs. But Dave's pretty good though.
Appreciate that.
Our buddy Dave's pretty good.
Dave is very good.
He's very good.
He's a better chef than I am, but
you have to say that to look humble. That's the thing.
I'll beat him up any day, though.
So you're working at Hector's. Your parents finally decide to sell. So this is 2 years ago. Because your dad, how old was your dad when 2 years? How old is he now? We can subtract 2.
70.
He's 70 now.
Yeah, so he's 68 when we sold the restaurant.
Yeah, so
and
it's about time.
Yeah, so he's ready to retire. He started, at 100 and giving 110%.
Yeah.
And when you work that hard, you can't do that forever. Yeah. So he's able to retire before he was forced to retire, which is something that I'm so grateful for. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was actually a little bit surprised. I wasn't sure if he would ever. And then he finally changed his mind a little. Ryan Kuchman is joining us.
Hi, Ryan.
We're talking about the service industry. We're actually just talking about Hector's Casa right now. Ryan probably feels obligated to watch us because it's both of us.
Yeah.
If it's just me, he's like, well, but you have to watch Ryan because it's both of us now.
Yeah.
Ryan Kuchma, one of our best friends. We love that guy. Family man to the core. Hey, Ryan, plug your business in the comments.
Ryan designs houses.
He designs houses. Plug it.
And
then we'll talk about
they're
it.
incredible. You know,
They're
if
incredible.
I ever get to build a house for myself, that's definitely who I'd be going to. It's
Ryan Kuchma.
beautiful designs.
But so you're running the place, and man, it's funny now because now that I manage a facility, like I didn't realize the stress of having a business, because it's really like, even though it's one of three, it's its own business, having the pressure of it all being you on, and it's 24. It doesn't fucking end.
Well, do you remember this was probably about 7 or 8 years ago now. We were all planning something fun, and I had my days off all booked. And
I know exactly what you're saying. Go ahead.
I get the phone call, this person can't work. So I make the phone calls. Okay, someone's got to work then. I called everybody that was on the staff list. Nobody could work. So that meant I worked, period. There's no option at that point. So I, in frustration, took my brand new iPhone and threw it at the coffee table into pieces. And I wasn't even upset about it.
Well, the funny thing is you threw it and then it got the anger out and then you went, And then I was like, I'm not going to laugh now because you look angry. And then you kind of laughed and then I laughed because it was so funny. But yeah, I totally get it, man. It happened to me. And again, most of the time it's no fault of the staff. I mean, shit happens, right? But it's frustrating. I was at the Avengers movie at like 10:30 or something like that, because it's the only time I could get in. It goes to 1 a.m. and I had a staff say that it couldn't work the next morning. And I'm trying to message people at 10:30 at night on a Saturday to work a Sunday morning. Not happening while I'm in the movie. So I just stress about that the whole movie. But so you do that. It's your parents sell 2 years ago. New owners take over. And then how are you feeling at this point? Are you just getting a little run down? Is there a big change with the ownership? Like, is it getting old?
Yeah, I mean, first for years, I always loved working at Hector's, but I'd always wanted to do something different, explore. There's a whole world out there. I wanted to explore the culinary world. And I committed to being with that restaurant to help my parents sell it and, get their retirement and everything. And so after that, I stayed around to help the new owners get situated. And then it was time to move on. And so I'm happy to be out of there now. Yeah. No hard feelings. We left on good terms, but I'm happy to be now getting to do something different. Yeah.
And so kind of funny on the transition, but I'll talk about that after. I'm just really happy and proud that you're doing that, because I feel like how much more can you really develop at that same place, because you built the menu. It's Mexican, which is pretty niche-y. Not niche, that's the wrong word, but it's very focused. No,
that's the right word.
It's focused.
Yeah, it's one specific
genre.
And my knowledge of Mexican food, as good as it is, it's what it is, and it only grows more when I get to experience more, and I'm stuck there all the time, so I don't get to go and learn more about it.
And so that little bit of excitement is back, is what I've seen from you, because you keep saying like, BNA has all these different components to each disc, and they're somewhat complex, and there's no like frozen stuff that's just getting brought over and de-thawed and then thrown in a deep fryer or whatever. Which is awesome. So you get to kind of explore, and you're learning lots from like all the other chefs that are there.
Yeah, it's a great learning experience, and I work with some really talented people. And with them expanding into the new restaurant as well, we've hired some more people who are there right now at BNA to fill their hours until the Skinny opens.
Right.
And so it's been great getting to work with people from overseas. And then Justin Best is the chef at BNA, and he's just incredibly talented. And the stuff that we get to do there is all over the map, from all different regions of the world, plus, locally kind of inspired stuff too. We use a lot of local farms for our food. And so
that's the farm to table kind of trend that's
I mean, we're not trying to be trendy with it. It's not like we're saying we're farm to table, but we're trying to support local. That's been a big part of BNA.
Awesome.
Is supporting local. We actually produce a beer that is called the Earl, which uses Earl Grey tea, which we sell to Parlor Ice Cream.
Oh yeah, love
they
Parlor.
Make an ice cream with the beer, which we then buy back to use on our desserts.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
a cool,
awesome.
you know, really keeping the
community.
money. Exactly.
It's building the community downtown, which is what we try to do at the Y. We love Parlor. They're friends of the downtown YMCA. They brought us a whole flat of ice cream. It was so cool. So we just had
good ice cream too.
It went quick though. Like there's only 8 of us, but I thought it would last longer. It did not. It was a bunch of different things. So the transition from Hector's to B&A, what is the most exciting difference, like learning experience difference? And then what was the most challenging, or what has been the most challenging?
The most exciting part is, like I said, working with global cuisine from all corners of the world. We've got Indian food, Thai food, Italian food, you know, American staples. You know, we got burgers, and we got so that's the most exciting part. And then probably the most challenging thing is working in like a late night kind of place. My schedule has recently changed. Thank you very much. But before I was working, you know, some nights where I was there till 11 at night.
Right.
And then because they cater to my schedule that I need for my family, they'd have me mostly on opening shifts at 7 in the morning.
Right.
But to do an 11 at night to 7 in the morning, that was so that was a bit challenging, but the schedule's getting a little bit smoother now for me, which is great.
Well, and I think if the most challenging thing is like your sleep schedule, that's a big testament to how excited you are about the actual job.
Yeah.
Because that's, you know, you say that it's not, oh, I had to learn this, this, and that. Like, but you are the type of person that wants to delve in and learn more. And because you did a stage, did you not before? Or
yeah, I did a stage in Vancouver at a restaurant called Bauhaus. It's a contemporary German cuisine. They're one of the top restaurants in Canada right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really cool experience. I worked with the chef there, David Mueller, and a chef from Germany, whose name I forget. I'm so sorry.
If anyone doesn't know what a stage is, it's like an internship at a restaurant. So they bring a bunch of chefs that are trying to learn a new field, I guess, new genre of cooking.
It's just, it's a good experience. It expands your resume.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you get to see new techniques. You know, you could be cooking the same thing, and you go to a new restaurant and they have an entirely different way of preparing the exact same thing that gives you just learning new techniques,
different perspective on how to do the techniques. So you and I have always worked in the service industry. I don't think I've ever had, it's not true. I did construction briefly, but other than that, I've always been in the service industry, from the restaurant to downtown Y. And it's an interesting industry. I always say that the people that are rude to people in the industry, in the service industry, have probably never been in the service industry. What is your overall experience over the years with the service industry and dealing with people?
Luckily, I've spent most of my time in the service industry in the back.
Yeah. You were a waiter for a little bit, though.
A little bit.
Is it that daunting of a different, like I did the kitchen and then I did busing, but I was young and whatever. Is it that, like, what's your different of, not opinions, but like level of comfort there? Like, did you hate serving?
Absolutely hated it, every second of it. I think there's two different people, front of house and back of house. It's that simple. I mean, you can be both, but it's a different personality trait.
That's a good point. Yeah. And it is, I mean, I don't want to say being friendly to the public, but the service industry of just dealing with the public and catering to people's needs. I mean, I'm lucky at the downtown, like at the YMCA, because it's a gym. So people are usually like endorphins and they're usually very happy. And I always say, for one, like jerky complaint, we have 1,500 amazing members. You know what I mean? Like, it's really 1 to 1,000 ratio. Yeah. So I'm pretty lucky, but just hearing stories from like Jen in the service industry, like, it definitely ranges. So if you are listening to this post live, be nice to your servers. But this brings up the tipping debate, because we were talking about this a little bit earlier. And like, where do you fall on tip percentage? Because it is, the recommended is getting up there and up there. I usually tip 20% now because of the way things are now.
Yeah. What I don't agree with is that tip percentage ratios have gone up. You know, you get your debit machine and you go to the suggested percentages. And instead of starting at 10 and 12 and 15, it's 15, 20, 25.
Yeah.
And on top of that, the price of food is going up. So the menu prices are going up. So before it was, okay, you get a $5 burger. Well, yeah, I'll tip 20% on a $5 burger. No problem. But now it's a $15 burger. Well, man, tipping 20% on a $15 burger, that's a fair chunk of change. Yeah. Especially when you start getting up into the fine dining where you're spending, $200 for a dinner for two. Right. And then they're expecting 20%. Yeah. Like $40. $50. An hour of service that's a lot of money. Yeah.
And they have other tables too. Yeah. Like that hour of service is not just if they sat next to you and just waited for you to order more stuff. Cause like we don't make that.
No. And not that I don't think servers deserve the money. I know servers are some of the hardest working people in the entire restaurant.
And there's people that are just chronic non-tippers or under-tippers that are part of this problem, right? Absolutely. And why servers struggle sometimes because my fiance is a server. Obviously, I'm not going to shit on tipping in general, but yeah, you're right. And I think I don't want to get too like political here, but it becomes one of these things that when inflation happens and wages don't go up, it tends to just fall back on the everyday person. It's like, oh, well, absolutely. If there's more people that are homeless, then there should be more charity. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we should all donate more money. It's like, yeah, let's all have the peons in the bottom shell out more money to the people that need it. And I don't want to get into like wealth distribution or whatever, because that's a little much for we're talking about the service industry. But that's the thing is inflation goes up and then, Jen Roy joined. We were just talking about tipping. Jen wants to give her opinion on tipping. She's probably watching this with everybody at the baby shower.
We're in trouble now.
But we're talking about tipping, bad tippers. But yeah, I just think, cost of everything goes up and then, we're expected to flip the bill. This is why I have a problem with people talking about like having a problem with minimum wage going up. And I know you can argue a few little things. So you and me used to talk about this and it's like, oh, well, these smaller businesses might go out of business. It's actually, I've looked into it and by most research, it's just not true.
Yeah, you're right. It's not true. I feel like back in the day, we used to have a 500-hour, work completion program that you had to do to get minimum wage. And before that, you were given, I think, $2 less an hour, which I 100% agree with. I think that's fair because
for younger people getting into the job market. Yeah, absolutely. Because they're learning. It's like a paid apprenticeship.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And, I think the wage increase is good. We've somewhere along the lines lost our balance of how much money you're spending at places, how much money they're paying their employees and the taxes and everything. There used to be a good balance. Yeah. People could make good money in industry or in restaurants without having to charge the customer too much money. But now that's all out of whack. So the patrons are being charged more at restaurants to try and compete with the raising minimum wage and whatnot. Yeah. And so people are now complaining about how much they're spending in restaurants.
And for the average person, their wages aren't going up. Exactly. So it's not helping us. And I think that's a good real world of gray here, just to stay on theme of the podcast, is that's what we don't factor in, is all these little things. It's really not just one thing or the other, or just wages or whatever, not enough jobs or too much taxes. It's a little bit of everything. And you're right, there was more of a balance. And as things get more expensive, if our wages don't increase accordingly, you're just going to have to flip those prices to the consumer. It's a big convoluted mess for sure. But the tipping thing is interesting because I had a guy who I was talking to and he's saying, he never tips. And, my service has to be pretty amazing to tip. And I'm like the opposite. Even if my service is terrible, I still usually tip 10% because even if that server is having a bad day, she's got to tip the kitchen because I worked in there. Like, I don't want her to lose money.
Well, and back to your point before about subsidizing wages by, using the people, servers make less per hour than your average person. Yeah. They get a lower minimum wage
because of tips.
Now we have to subsidize their wage. Otherwise they're living below, a livable allowance basically.
And I personally, when it comes down to it, just anybody that works 40 hours a week should not live in poverty.
Absolutely.
And because that's the thing in the state. I don't know about Canada because for some reason I look up more state statistics, but they have a working poor population. So they have people that work 40 hours a week and are homeless.
Mhm.
They have people that are full-time workers and are homeless. And I just don't, for me, it's, you can word salad it all you want as a politician, but just like, how can you justify that as an overall society that we're just okay with people working 40 hours a week and still being homeless? Because that never used to be. It's like, oh, well, that's markets. Like, I don't even know how you would justify it, but we've done it before where that wasn't a thing. So I just don't understand how you can justify it. But
it's the cost of living. It's gone up so astronomically.
Yeah.
You look at, I'm actually at recently when we were purchasing the house that we did, we looked at buying a house that I grew up in. And when my parents bought that house in, I'm guessing 97, I could be wrong.
Okay.
The house was $140,000.
Jesus.
When I was looking at the house, it was $575,000.
Jesus.
So like that kind of multitude of cost increase, it's what's really hurting your average person the most and what's making the cost of living just
And it would be interesting to see the data on like the multiplying jump of that inflation, right? You know what I mean? Like, because I highly doubt that from like the 60s, inflation has had like this steady growth of inflation, like this moderate steady growth. Like it's got to be spiking, right?
It's a curve. It's just gone.
I'm curious as to what mechanisms are causing this, right? But it's us everyday people that are just struggling to get by that tend to take the brunt of all of this. And the service industry is just so thankless.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing with the service industry. It's just so thankless at the time. Again, not talking about the downtown one. I'm in like a weird bubble. I've actually joked with members. I'm like, I'm in my bubble here because like people are very appreciative, but especially the service. Some of the stories Jen tells me, I'm like, man, I would punch somebody in the face if they talked to me like that. Like, this is why I couldn't be a server, because some of the things people say to her, and just like talking about her being a blonde or let me give you a tip, get a real job. That's what people like. That's fucking harassment, man.
Yeah.
Like, would you talk to your daughter like that? Would you talk to your kids like that? Would you talk to your boss like that? Like, if you're not willing to talk to other human beings like that, I have a theory that people that talk to servers like that, I mean, they've probably never been in the service industry, but I feel like there's something else in their life where they've lost power and they go to restaurants just to get that power back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just to shit on someone for 30 minutes to make themselves feel better, or they're like abused at home or something. But yeah, the service industry is a thankless industry. And honestly, I've done a bad job of this podcast and hyping it up because I would really like to hear other people's service industry stories, because I know pretty much most people I know in most industries are service now.
Yeah.
And the more automation we're going to have, the more these service industries are going to thrive and pop up. But it's definitely just a thankless industry. I mean, yeah, the kitchen, I guess, not as bad. You do have to deal with like modifications and all that shit though.
Yeah, we got a lot of like requests and things like that. Like basically whatever you say to your server gets reiterated to the kitchen, and something that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
Be it an allergy or a specific food preference and stuff like that. So we do cater, but thankfully we get to curse about it in the cooler.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the thing in the kitchen. Actually, working in a kitchen is the reason I have such a bad mouth. I got a mouth like a trucker. My grandma used to always give me shit for it. And I was like, sorry, we're going to kitchen. Now we're going to why? I got to like really watch it. Oh, and I did the podcast with Dane from Big Brother. I swore in it, and it's a Kelowna now. Ooh. And I was like getting really excited about his gameplay. And I was like, motherfucker. I didn't say motherfucker, but I said, fuck. And then he like did this. And then we talked about it. I was like, yeah, for a second, I was like, are we allowed to swear on this? Because he did such a good job. He does a million interviews. But yeah, the service industry is just one of those things. I mean, I will say though, it is rewarding to be a cook, because when the rush happens, we always joke about this. Like sometimes before, when you're prepping and you got to really pee, and then you forget, and then the rush happens like 5 hours later, and you're like, oh yeah, I was supposed to go pee. But when it's over, there's just something rewarding about getting that clusterfuck out and done.
It is. It's an accomplishment every night when you've got a busy dinner rush. You work with a team of people, and it just comes in, and it's crazy. It's madness for hours. And then all of a sudden the chits are done, and you're just standing there, disheveled mess. Like,
I need a fucking drink.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it
Or I
works.
just need to take a crap. Holy man.
Yeah, right. Just holding that in the whole time. I remember one story, and we'll kind of wrap this up. But one story to leave everyone. Working at Hector's, there was the pickled jalapenos on the line, and you'd be busy and you'd be throwing pickled jalapenos and stuff. Oh, I'm gonna go use the washroom real quick. And as a male, you got to hold your thing to aim, and then you wash your hands and you get back on the line, and your crotch is just burning like you spent a weekend in Amsterdam. And you just, Jesus! I remember one time it was so bad, and then I tried to like throw water on it to cool it down, which just spreads the oil. I would think I was like 20 or something, and just spreads the oil and just got way worse.
Yeah, I was driving home from Hector's one time, and I did chopping habaneros to make a special salsa, and that was literally the last prep I did that day.
Yeah.
And I'm driving home, and I rubbed my eye mid-drive. Thankfully, I work about like a 4-minute drive from home.
Back
so
then,
back then, yeah.
yeah.
And so I'm driving home like,
that's so funny.
Probably should have pulled over, but sorry.
So before we wrap this up, I actually, funny enough, we just ended up talking about more of the restaurants. I really wanted more people to give their stories and we could discuss them.
There's
but
some comments there. You open that?
No, that was just Pete.
No, in the comments area.
Oh, there was more comments. I'm so bad at this. I'm never gonna make money because I didn't slide them.
Hot guy in the blue shirt. I think I know who that is.
Actually, there was only one, and we'll talk about it. So Carrie's she works as a lifeguard at the Kelowna Family One. She has a son named Laser, which is awesome.
That's awesome.
And we love Carrie.
Write that
Sorry,
down,
I forgot I had to scroll. She said when she worked at Earl's, she worked in the kitchen. It was walking to hell. She got sexually harassed. Yeah, honestly, too, though, I think I'm not going to justify it. That's awful. You've been sexually harassed, but boys in the kitchen are awful a lot of times. And I think there's more lack of awareness, right? So people say shit that they shouldn't say. I think that's one big political correctness change that I'm happy with that expansion contraction now is as a male, we all should anyways. If you're one of these guys that denies shit and makes excuses, you're terrible. But we should all think before we say certain shit, especially with just when women are around. I know, like, even with the boys last night, there's a few female wrestlers in the room, and I was going to just make a comment like to the boys, not about them, but just in general. And then I was like, nah, maybe I should be a little bit more of a classier guy and just not make some boob comment or whatever immature shit I was going to say. Yeah, so that's terrible. This shit happens. Not the sexual violence, that's terrible, but the service industry in general, you get a lot of these different complaints and bullshit. Yeah, so just as we kind of wrap up here, we're gonna go kayak or some shit, I'm not sure. As we wrap up, what's going on at BNA? What's coming down? Do you know when the new restaurant's opening?
So yeah, we've got a new menu that just launched at BNA, which is our summer menu, and then the new restaurant Skinny Duke's Glorious Emporium that should be opening in early July. We don't have a concrete day yet, but keep your eyes open. It's going to be exciting and fun. And
when is Alex's due date? Also, she called you hot, by the way. Alex commented at one point. She said, "Who's the hot guy in the blue shirt?" Dang, I'm wearing a red shirt. So close.
Yeah, so her due date is July 17th.
Whoop.
So hopefully a little earlier than that would be nice.
There you go. And
already
you have no confirmed name yet?
No confirmed name, but Carrie Laser sounds like awesome. So
Laser is all. You can't use Laser. That's being used. So drop some name suggestions in the comments if you're watching this later on. If you made it to the end of this podcast, that'll be amazing. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff coming up your way. And yeah, I'm pumped for you, man. And we brothers, so we're gonna go chill for a bit. Thanks for doing this with me, and
thanks for having me.
It was fun. Peace. YouTube gets more bullshit.
That's my YouTube dance.